Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a really big question, one that affects pretty much every company you can think of, from that little coffee shop you love to the huge global brands we see everywhere.
Have you ever thought about that? Why is it that some brands just seem to last forever, while others, even ones with amazing products, just vanish? It feels like it happens overnight. Well, the answer, a lot of the time, isn't just about the company itself. It's about all these powerful and sometimes totally invisible forces swirling around it. So let's pull back that curtain.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, the official term for it is the business environment. And I love this definition from a scholar named Keith Davis. He called it the aggregate of all conditions, events, and influences that surround and affect a company. Basically, it's everything. The entire world of business has to live and breathe in.
To really get a handle on this, we're going to do this little zoom out exercise, okay? And we're going to start at the very core, looking at the things that are happening right inside the company's own walls. This is what we call the internal environment.
Now, these are the things a company can, for the most part, actually control. Think of it like the company's personality and its toolbox, right? What are its core values? Is its mission crystal clear? What's the vibe like, the corporate culture? Does it have talented people, money in the bank? These things are the foundation. They're where a company's biggest strengths and, its biggest weaknesses come from.
Okay, ready? Let's zoom out just one level. We're stepping right outside the company's front door now, into its immediate neighborhood. This is the microenvironment.
These are the players a business has to deal with like every single day. You've got your customers, obviously, whose tastes can change on a dime. You've got the people who sell you stuff, your suppliers. You have your competitors, the stores that sell your product. All of these have a direct, daily impact on how a business runs.
And this is just a perfect example. Think about the food delivery world. Every single time Zomato launches a new feature or offers a new discount, you can bet Swiggy is right there with a countermove. And it goes the other way too. They are literally locked in this dance, and every step one takes forces the other to react. That is the microenvironment in a nutshell.
All right, time for the final zoom out. And this is where things get really complex and honestly kind of wild. We're looking at the huge, powerful forces that shape not just one company, but entire industries, even whole countries. This is the macro environment. Just take a look at this. The macro environment is made of all these massive, overlapping forces. You've got the economy, you've got politics and laws, you have shifting cultural trends, new technology that pops up out of nowhere, and of course, global events. And here's the kicker. A business can't really control any of this. It just has to adapt or risk getting left behind. To really understand how powerful these forces are, abstract definitions aren't enough. Let's look at a real-world story. A famous case from India involving one of the country's most beloved brands, Maggi Noodles.
So, where did this all kick off? It started with just one of those macro forces we just talked about, the politico-legal one. Back in 2015, government food inspectors ran some tests. They announced they'd found lead levels that were higher than the legal limit. And that single action, that was the spark.
And boom, that one legal spark immediately ignited a huge socio-cultural firestorm. The news went everywhere. A product that was a trusted staple in millions of Indian kitchens was suddenly seen as dangerous. Public trust, which takes forever to build, just evaporated. And sales didn't just dip, they absolutely cratered.
So what do? Nestle had to pull everything off the shelves. They then had to launch this massive campaign to win people back. Their #WeMissYouToo campaign was honestly a masterclass in trying to rebuild that cultural trust. But the whole story just goes to show how incredibly vulnerable even a giant brand can be to these big external forces.
Okay, so after hearing all that, you're probably thinking, how on earth does any company manage all this, right? With all these layers and this web of complexity, how do leaders possibly read the signs and figure out what to do?
Well, there's a tool for it. A brilliantly simple yet really powerful framework for doing what's called environmental analysis. And you might have heard of it. It's called SWOT.
And what's so smart about SWOT is how it takes all that chaos we've been talking about and organizes it into the simple little grid. On one side, it separates stuff that's internal, inside the company, from stuff that's external. And on the other, it separates things that are helpful from things that are harmful.
And here's where it all clicks together. Strengths are those internal things that help, like a famous brand name. Weaknesses are internal things that hurt, like having really old technology. Then you have opportunities, which are external things that could help, like a new market opening up. And finally, threats, which are external things that can harm you, like the whole Maggie noodle crisis. Once you map all this out, you can actually start to build a real, coherent strategy.
And look, this isn't just some boring stuff for CEOs in a boardroom. It's actually a super useful way for all of us to understand the world. When you read in the news that some local startup just got a ton of funding, that's them seizing an opportunity. When you see your favorite local bookstore is struggling, they're facing a threat from online giants. It just helps you make sense of the business news all around you.
So, the next time you see a company making a big splash, or another one that seems to be struggling, ask yourself, what's going on in their environment? What are the invisible forces shaping their story? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.